This is a lesson that I am hoping will clarify literal equations for you. I think I want to go through maybe 2 or 3 practice problems in this video just to make sure that you have an idea of how to transform literal equations. Example of a literal equation would be area equals length times width. If you were given this equation and you were asked to solve for W is being multiplied by L. You want to isolate the variable W, and in order to isolate that variable W, we need to get rid of multiplying by L. And to undo the inverse operation of multiplying is dividing. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. These will cancel, and W will be equal to the area divided by the length. We're going to try another one. Let me go back because I know I went through that very fast. Give you a moment to let that soak in. Now we're going to go to another problem with a literal equation, and that literal equation is going to be y equals mx plus b, and we're going to solve for x. So for this problem, x is what needs to be isolated, and it's like trying to get into a tissue box. The x represents the Kleenex, but in order to get to the Kleenex, the first thing you have to do is pick up the box. You're not going to immediately get to the Kleenex if the box has not been opened. So in order to get to that Kleenex, which in this problem is the x, we need to get rid of the farthest thing from it, which is this adding b. And the inverse operation for adding b is subtracting b. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other. Now, y and b are different variables representing 2 different things. So we're going to write them as y minus b equals m times x. But we're not done because the x is still not isolated. It is being multiplied by m, and we need to undo that multiplying by m. In order to undo that multiplying by m, you perform the inverse operation, which is dividing by m, and what you do to one side, you got to do to the other. So x is going to be equal to y minus b all over m. So much fun. To transform literal equations, you perform the opposite operation. I'm going to put 3 problems up on the next screen. I want you to pause after you write these 3 problems down. Pause the video, solve them, and come back and let's see how you did. Alright, so the first one is going to be the area of a circle. The area is equal to 2 pi r. And I want you to solve, I'll put a semicolon so you'll know what to solve for. So for that one, you're going to solve for r. Problem number 2, let's use the volume formula. Volume equals length times width times height. And I want you to solve for height. And then problem number 3, that's a semicolon right there, okay? Problem number 3 is interest equals, let's do the amount is equal to the principal plus the principal times the rate and the time. I want you to solve this one for, let's say we need to find the rate. This one we need to find the height, and on this one we need to find the radius. Alright, pause the video, come back and check your work. I'm thinking you paused the video and now you are ready to check your work. R is being multiplied by 2 times pi. In order to undo multiplying by 2 times pi, we need to divide by 2 times pi. And what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. These will cancel, both of them, and R will be equal to the area divided by 2 pi. That one will come in useful in high school. Volume equals length times width times height is number 2, and you're solving for the height. It is being multiplied by the length and the width, so we need to undo multiplication by dividing. And what you do to one side, you gotta do to the other. These will cancel because L divided by L is 1, W divided by W is 1. So now we have H isolated and the volume being divided by the length times the width. Last one, friends. This one reminds me of the Kleenex box because we're solving for R, but we have this we have this P that's being added to it. And so I think we need to get rid of the adding part first. It's kind of like take the top off the box. So it's a positive P, which means that we need to subtract it from both sides. There is my little equal sign right there. When you subtract it from the right, you're left with principal times rate times time, and you're still trying to solve for R. But over on my left side, I'm going to write A minus P. Again, just like the problem on this one for the slope-intercept, we could not combine Y and B. Same principle on this third problem. You cannot combine A and P. And so, I'm not done, am I? A minus P is equal to the principal times the rate and the time, but I'm still trying to isolate the variable R. I was going to write the answer, but I'm not ready to write the answer. I need to finish my work. The rate is being multiplied by the principal and the time. So to undo multiplication, we divide. What you do to one side, you got to do to the other. P divided by P is 1. T divided by T is 1. We're left with R being isolated. And so that rate is going to be equal to the amount minus the principal divided by the principal multiplied by the time. And that is your short 7-minute lesson on literal equations.